Everyone, Gaara here and welcome to a brand new deck tech video. Today I'm gonna talk about a very special deck that I've been working on very hard the past few days together with Blackout. I was testing and practicing Shaman specifically for about 10 to 12 hours per day. As the name says of the deck, to prepare for Seed Story because I'm going to play, or I wanted to play Shaman. And so before I jump into the deck list, as I said, there's like two main types of Shaman you can play. The one type is the mech Shaman we all know. The aggressive mech Shaman is established more because it was more consistent compared to the Fel Reaver, Ragnaros, Dr. Boom, slow mech version. So the one I'm talking about is with Leroy or even without Leroy, just with a lot of spells, lightning bolts, crackles, lava burst, and a lot of aggressive minions, or the one that I main played at BlizzCon with Lepanomes even, just aggressive mech Shaman. So the other type, the other version is, which I personally prefer because it feels more consistent and that you're more in control of the games, especially against other control decks, especially against other good players, where it will come down to, and you want to have like the ability that you can outplay your opponent in a certain late game or control matchup. The control Shaman or mid-range Shaman or whatever you want to call it, standard Shaman, standard boss control Shaman. So, and I prefer that one. The main reason is because the mech Shaman just gets absolutely overwhelmed by other aggressive decks, which are Tempo Mage, Secret Paladin, mid-range Paladin, aggressive Druid, Zoo, Face Hunter. It goes that far that actually Mech Shaman versus Hybrid Hunter or Face Hunter has the worst stats, tournament stats in Hearthstone history, which is 0%. Like a Mech Shaman has never defeated a Hybrid Hunter in a tournament setting, in a recorded tournament setting. So that's why I was focusing on mid-range Shaman and specific, just like a version that can beat Hunter as well, and Druids and Warrior, but also aggressive decks and Freeze Mage especially, because that's like a popular deck, even getting more popular in ladder these days, but also especially in a tournament setting. So let's jump into the deck list and talk about it a little bit more. So we have the double Rock Biter, which I said many times that I would like auto include it in every single Shaman deck, just maybe not in a Malika Shaman, because it's like just a big exception in a niche deck, because you play spells and you get like a lot of spell power, and then the Rock Biter just doesn't really fit in the deck so much. But even then you probably played 2 Rock Biters. So, but yeah, the card is the reason why it's auto included. It's the best 1 mana removal in the game. It doesn't have overload, it does 3 damage for 1 mana, and no other class can do that. So it's very efficient, and you can combine it, which is also like unique in a sense, that you can like buff a minion, and then like let's say you buff a Zombie Chow, and then a Zombie Chow deals 5 damage, you can trade a Zombie Chow into something. The drawback is that you have to like attack like a weapon, and then you take damage, but it's not a huge drawback. It's the upside is just that it can work as a late game tool as well, and that's like a very big aspect I wanted to focus on when I built the deck, because Rock Biter is such a good removal, but it has the threat of like a late game finisher, like a win condition, together with the Doomhammer, together with the Alakir. Rock Biter and Doomhammer does for 2 charges 10 damage, and that is just an insane amount. And when you have the Doomhammer already equipped, it costs also just 1 mana to deal 10 damage, and that is like such a secret hidden huge burst threat. It's like a pyroblast. Like when you play against a mage, you know, okay, he can do 10 damage in turn 10 because it's a pyroblast, right? If you don't play around it, like double fireball or something. Or the frostbolt, but that's like in one card the amount of damage. But the shaman can do 10 damage, or you can combine it with Alakia and then you have 12 damage. If you have like a flame totem out, you always have the threat. If you know your opponent plays those cards, you're always scared, and you will more likely play for board control because you're afraid of that burst. How much damage can he deal? If I have a Doomhammer equipped, I can do 10 damage plus my other 9 mana in damage, which is like huge. I could have Crackle, as you see later. I play one Crackle and like Fire Elementals, whatever. And Crackle is like one of those cards that just deals so much damage as well for low mana. But yeah, more to this in a bit. Yeah, that's the thing. Rockbiter can do a huge amount of damage. It's a very good early game removal card. And this is what you want as Shaman. You want to distract from your face. Because that's the biggest weakness of Shaman. That people just ignore your board and go face. Because they know, okay, a Shaman can't heal. You just kill him. If you go for board, we might end up losing because you play control shaman, but if you go face, we know shaman can do very little about it. But if we have that like hidden burst threat the whole time, then people tend to play different. They you force them to play for board control, and that's what you want. So Zombie Chow is the next card. As you can see, I play only one Zombie Chow, and that was like the main reason is because of a ton of practice. And it turns out that in a lot of matchups you don't want the Zombie Chow. Like in control matches, it's not a terrible card, but I think it's phasing out a little bit. You obviously want to have at least one, also against aggro decks, but the minions that win you games are like 2-drops, like a Hound Creeper or like Totem Golem. The Zombie Chow is good if you go first, obviously, and you play against an aggro deck. It's a super good card. But against Warrior or so, he just War Axes it down. If you play against a Druid and he plays Darnassus Aspirant, if you don't have the Flametongue Totem follow-up, you can't even kill it. And then it already snowballs out of control. The Zombie Chow will not help you much to fight for the board. You will need the Rockbiter or the Power Mace, as you can see, to kill the Aspirant, then to kill the mana, and then fight equally. So the Zombie Chow gets weaker, especially also against Druid. The main reason is the Darnassus Aspirant, I would say. Also against an aggressive Druid, it usually doesn't do so much. Also against all the innovate plays that the Druid has, doesn't really do anything. And against Hunter, from a lot of practice, it turns out that the Hound Creeper, the 2-drops have a way higher impact to win the game, especially because I think that the meta shifts in tournaments more towards mid-range Hunter, and against mid-range Hunter, Zombie Chow is not so good. You want 2-drops and then like 3-drops and then heal and taunts and stuff like that. Especially Doomhammer is the biggest card later to this more. So it just, as I said, it's just not as strong, and you have very little card draw. Like the more Zombie Chows you play, the more card draw you need, and it's very, very difficult to fit card draw into a Shaman deck nowadays. So next card is Crackle. I play one copy of Crackle. The main reason is just that if you're committed to phase damage, which happens quite some games because you're out of cards, because you have little card draw, not too heavy late game, and then Crackle is just another card you can top deck for a huge amount of burst damage for a very low mana cost. It can do as much damage as a Fireball, and it costs 2 mana immediately, 3 mana in total. If you have Spell Power up, it has a potential to do up to 7 damage. And this is like what I mean. If you have a Rockbiter, a Doomhammer already established, just with a Rockbiter weapon and a Crackle, you can do up to, if you have Spell Power, up to 17 damage for 3 mana. 17 damage. It's like the Frostbolt, Icelands. How much is this? 6, 10, and another Icelands. 14. It's even more. And then like a Fireball. It's like a huge amount of burst damage, like a freeze mage does. It's the same burst damage just for way less cards and way less mana. And just to have that potential, and I try to build Shaman very greedy with Neptulon and Dr. Boom and like late game that you can outlast control warriors. But as it turns out, Shaman just like in general is not meant to be a control deck. Also with cards like Flametongue Totem, also the synergy those cards have, like Alakia with Rockbiter or Doomhammer with Rockbiter, which are like the better cards Shaman has. The Shaman is supposed to be like an explosive deck in mid game. You have strong early game, a lot of damage through weapons, a lot of damage, more than any other weapon with Doomhammer, and you really want to close out the game late mid game stages. And you should focus on that. And this is what I did. I focus on that. Also, I will talk about the Doomhammer a little bit later. So, Flametongue Totem is just a very, very strong and efficient card to trade in stuff, and it is like a threat. Your opponent has to deal with it. If he doesn't deal with it, you just win the game because you deal too much damage. It has great synergy with the Zombie Chow, with the Totem Shaman, like the Hero Power Shaman, with the Haunted Creepers, any minion basically. I was thinking about cutting it, but it seems just to be too powerful in many situations. When you have a bot, Flametongue Totem is just very, very powerful to trade effectively. Haunted Creeper, I tested many 2-drops, Anoitrons, Echoing Oozes, Luthors, everything, and Haunted Creeper just seems to be by far, even though I play double Power Mace and Anoitron seems to be good, overall, Haunted Creeper is just by far, in every matchup, just the best 2-drop. Haunted Creeper and Totem Golem. Because Haunted Creeper has great synergy with the double Defender Argus that I play. I think it's very important. That's like the main way to beat other aggro decks. Hunter especially is Defender of Argus. It's not the heal that Healbot provides, it's Defender of Argus. It's like the best card to have. And the best way to get minions on board till turn 4 is with Haunted Creeper. So next card is Owl, and as you can see now that we have the silence here, you see we have no Earth Shock, so I don't play any Earth Shock. And I think the reason I don't play Earth Shock is just in control matchups, it's just such a bad card, especially against Druid. It used to be very handy, obviously against Freeze Mage, Paladin, Hunter as well, but it doesn't win you the game. Like, the thing is, if you silence something from Hunter, he just pulls out the next big threat, which you have to silence as well. So it's better to play proactive. Even as a Shaman you want to play proactive. It's like always better just in general to play proactive compared to like a reactive deck. So this is why it's always wrong to mulligan for the answers like Rockbiter. You know your opponent will play like a Zombie Chow or something, or like a Cleric. Then you keep Rockbiter and then you react, but then he comes out with the Wyrmrest Agent, then he comes out with the next minion curve. That's why Priest is such a strong deck, Dragon Priest. Because he just plays minions on curve and your opponent has to deal with it. And every minion is above average, which is very difficult to remove. And then if he has perfect curve, you should just win. So you want to play more proactive. That's why Totem Golem is such a good card. Because if you coin out Totem Golem, it is just better than any other minion that people play. And that's very important. Because that's Shaman. If Shaman has bot control early game, you have a really good chance to win the game. And this is what you have to do, or to try, and Totem Golem really helps that, especially against Druid as well, or against Warrior. Like, the reason, you always have to think about the game itself. You play Totem Golem against a Warrior, he has War Axe. He can't War Axe a Totem Golem, he has to hit it twice. So then the Totem Golem deals 9 damage. That's a lot of damage. Then we play an aggressive deck. Oh yeah, that's like another reason why I don't like Zombie Chow, because it heals your opponent. Because this deck is really like bursty. If you give a warrior too much time, he can play the Justica Trueheart at some point and then heal every turn for 4. That's a lot. And then if he can play every single big threat, you will run out of removals. And I don't really want to run cards like BGH. It just feels so inconsistent against aggro decks. So you want to seal out the game because he plays like every single... You have the hexes still, but you want to seal out the game before he plays like every big threat. Because, yeah, you will just run out of options. So Totem Golem very good against warriors, I just mentioned. Also it deals with the acolyte. It's a good card. And then against druid he plays the Nasus Aspirant. Perfect answer to the Nasus Aspirant. It kills it, and then the opponent has to deal with it as well. Great card. So Power Mace. So Power Mace is interesting because, as you can see, I don't have many mechs. In fact, I have only 3 mechs. And I still don't play double Power Mace just because weapons are very, very powerful in general, because you get 2-for-1 trades, and also like how the meta is that a lot of decks just play minions that are killable with 3 attack weapons. That's why Fury Warx is also called Fury Winx, because it's so strong. It's like an Eagle Hombo, obviously, because it costs 3 mana. But yeah, it's really good. It's like to win board control, a weapon is just very, very helpful, and it doesn't overload you, and the effect is very powerful. And I tried so much to get the benefit of the death rattle effect, but it really comes down to that I can't really play more than 1 healbot and double shredder. And the thing is that you have the chance with this deck to get that buff. Like, I can buff my shredder. Shredder is, as everyone knows, the best 4-drop in the game, and I have a potential to buff him with my Power Mace. I can play my Power Mace on 3, attack, kill something, play my Shredder on 4, and buff the Shredder. And that's really, really powerful. And usually you don't want to silence the Shredder. And that gives me a lot of tempo and a lot of burst damage as well, because 1 Power Mace is 6 damage. Weapons in general just do a lot of damage, and then a buffed Shredder can also do so much damage. So Hex, the best hard removal in the game. In control decks, it's a must include to play 2 hexes, especially 3 mana. It's very, very cheap. Lightning Storm. I think 1 Lightning Storm is just must to play in Shaman. 2 Fields Clanking against controls. I tested Elemental Destruction with Nerubian X, but Nerubian X are just bad in a lot of matchups. It's good in other matchups, also against Hunter, very good card, but in other matchups it just feels pretty bad. So 1 Lightning Storm. It's sometimes against Paladin especially you want to have 2 Lightning Storms, but to make the deck as consistent as possible you can only run 1. Mana Tide. Okay, this is like a very big point, because I was thinking about this for days, for months, for years almost. The card draw cards, like Shaman got Ancestral Knowledge. It's the new 2 mana card, but it overloads for 2, which is too much, so you pay 4 mana in total. Overload in general is really, really, really bad. That's also why you don't play 2 Lightning Storm. As you can see, I have very few Overload cards. We have the Crackle, only like the top notch, the best of the Overload cards. And what did I just say? Yeah, Mana Tide doesn't overload as well, and the card draw cards. Ancestral Knowledge costs 4 mana in total. You can't afford to draw 2 cards on turn 2 and not play anything turn 3. It just doesn't work in Hearthstone, especially as a deck that relies so much on early game board control. But you need card draw, like in so many matches you just need card draw. And as you can see, I play 1 Mana Tide and 1 Azure Drake. I wanted to play double Belcher because I think Belchers are really, really powerful right now in the meta. Also, especially with the Patron nerf. And also in Shaman it's really good, but you need card draw. So the best way I manage Mana Tide is obviously against aggressive text, not good. When you have no board control, it's not good. But against control decks it's a very good card. And it's not enough to run 1 Mana Tide, so I wanted to have at least Azure Drake, and that's like the bare minimum of card draw I could imagine to fit in the deck. And then with cutting cards like Zombie Chow and Earthshock, you need less card draw because your deck is more consistent in draws. Also, like in terms of strength, because you have like more 4-drops, as you can see, of Double Defender and Double Shredder. So I have more higher value minions, and that because of that I need less draw, because I have more time to just draw per turn. So Double Defend of Argus, I think it's very powerful in Shaman. I used to play 1 because of consistency, but also against Warrior, it's just a very, very powerful card. Also a very, very strong anti-aggro tool. I just like to run Double Defender. Taunt is a very strong mechanism, and I don't want to run 2 heal bots as well. Chasm Mystic, I was thinking about this a lot, and I think against Freeze Mages, obviously very powerful against Santa, because against Santa I feel like I need 2 silences. even though, Owl, yeah, I mean, you guys know I love Owl and Shaman because of the body, it contests other 2-drops. Khazar Mystic is like, instead of running a Silence that helps against Hunter, you can also run Khazar Mystic, and that gives me also the body against other control decks. So against a Priest, a 4/3 is always good, and just to have like an additional body you can play on board, which I really like. So a Silence is just no body, it's like a Nerf Shock. So in control matchups it's like an additional body I have, and against Hunter it still helps me. Against Freeze Mages, you need a Silence for Doomsayers. Khazar Mystic also helps in that matchup. So it's like a card that actually fits perfectly as a substitution for a Silence which you don't want to run. So the Double Shredder, it was very hard to fit in Double Shredder. As you can see, I have no Dr. Boom and no second Hex, no second Zombie Chow. It was very difficult, but I really felt like you have to play Double Shredder. It's such a powerful card. Also with the double Power Mace, because I feel like it's core, just to have the higher chance to get like a Power Mace buff on a mech. Doomhammer, double Doomhammer just for consistency. If you just run one copy of a card, you really have to justify why you run just one copy of the card. And sometimes you're like, yeah, sometimes you will have double Doomhammer starting hand. So how often does that happen? Every 200 games or something. But in general, it's just you want to draw the card because their card will help you win the game, because it's like constant pressure to your opponent and to force the opponent to trade with your board. It's very important to have Doomhammer in your deck. I think it's core. After a lot of practice and a lot of the testing, I think you have to play this card. It's at least one. I just want the consistency against Freeze Mages, Rogues, Warriors, Patron Warriors, Druids, Hunter, mid-range Hunter. It's super important to raise them. Just a very, very important card, I feel like. And one Doomhammer does 16 damage, and oftentimes I even have time to equip my second Doomhammer against like a warrior or something. Just a lot of damage. And TKL bot just must include in Shaman, especially because you have the chance to buff it with Power Mace. Shaman doesn't have feel, and that's like a card you really want to draw against Hunter especially. One Azure Drake for draw. Sometimes you play two, but as you can see I have very, very few spells. But sometimes you want to get the Azure Drake, Lightning Storm, Dream. You want the draw. It's like the best draw card, best neutral draw. Acolyte, just I don't feel like it's good. I tested everything. Acolyte, Luthor, just all don't feel good. And Azure Drake provides the spell power, which is nice, but the 4/4 body doesn't really contest anything that is played right now. Other 5 drops, which are Lore Tap or Belchers, or even 6 drops with Emperor, it doesn't really contest anything, so it's not good. Belcher is really good, so I play one Belcher. Fire Elemental just a really, really sick 6 drop, because it does also so much damage, not just tempo player but also phase damage, and Alakirs and another win condition. So that's my deck. It was like a longer video, but I hope you guys like it, and I'm also gonna show you some games.